Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor with the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health here in Anchorage. On behalf of Alaska Public Media, thank you for tuning in to Hangar Flying. This evening, we are honored to have Dr. Bill Compton on the show. Bill is an accomplished pilot with over 10,000 hours and has airline transport pilot and flight instructor certificates. He owns a turbocharged VTOL Bonanza, which has flown all over Alaska and the world, and we were just counting, he's done over 20 solo oceanic flights. Dr. Compton is also a published author and has an article in the Safety Foundation's most recent newsletter. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Well, thank you, Mary.
We could talk to you about a lot of topics, and I promise we'll get you back on the show when we talk about your experience with long-distance flying and especially with leaning. In our efforts to focus on aviation safety for August, a month that has typically been one of the most dangerous for pilots in Alaska, I'd like to focus on an accident that occurred in Southeast Alaska in August of 2008. Can you describe the basic situation?
Well, this accident really aroused my interest because I had owned a Beechcraft B Baron and had experience with that airplane. And also, I have flown the coast 2 or 3 round trips a year since about 1974 or 5. And so I read this in the paper and I thought, well, gosh, I've got to figure out what happened here. And through a FOIA request, I got the tapes of the interaction between the pilot and air traffic control. And it was just fascinating. And so I got really wrapped up in it and analyzed it as best I could and wrote an article about it, and there we go.
And what happened in this situation? What was the pilot doing?
Well, the pilot was based in somewhere on the East Coast, I think Virginia or North Carolina. And he was flying to Alaska with a non-pilot friend to do a bunch of fishing. And this was the end of his second day of flying. He had spent the night in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And then he had stopped in Boise and in Bellingham, and then this flight up the coast. And by the time he got close to his destination, which apparently was Haines, he decided to land at Gustavus and shot an instrument approach there and landed. There he found no one at the airport to gas him. He felt like he'd made a mistake landing there, and his response was to take off, enter clouds, and call Anchorage Center for a clearance to Sitka. And then he threw in this little addendum at the end of his communication, quote, "I hope we have enough fuel," and unquote. And that just really shocked, obviously, the air traffic controller, the lady taking care of him. And things went from bad to worse. And I think what really set off his confusion was that he had shot a GPS approach to Gustavus. Then he took off and he was cleared to the Sisters Island VOR and then was going to shoot an approach to Juneau. And that was to fly outbound on a radial of Sisters VOR. And he couldn't do it. And I believe the reason he couldn't do it was that he had a switch on his panel that switched his main navigation indicator between GPS and VOR. And I think it was still on GPS. And if it's on GPS and you're off course, rotating the omni-bearing selector cannot center the navigation needle. And he became more and more confused. And then finally it was, oh, the heck with it, I'll just head for Sitka. Well, he had diddled around. He was low on gas already, and he didn't make it to Sitka before he ran out of gas. And they crashed in a forested area, and they both died of impact injuries. So it was preventable in so many areas, but I think fatigue was a huge factor here. There may have been medical issues that with which he should not have been flying. I don't think he realized how long he'd been flying. He'd been following the sun through 3 time zones, and there we go. It's all right there.
We look forward to hearing more about this accident and in ways that it could have been prevented. I think that we're very fortunate to have you as our guest with your experience and insight, and we appreciate your willingness to share your information. We look forward to seeing you on our show next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. It's been a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not a member of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation but would like to learn more about this accident, please send us an email at aasfonline@gmail.com, and we'll make sure you get a copy of the article. Please tune in to our next show when we talk with Dr. Compton about fatigue. Until next time, fly safely.